Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And in that transformation, love reveals its truest nature, not in grand declarations, but in the quiet certainty that you are never alone. The one who truly loves you does not merely stand beside you in the sunlight. They step into the shadows when life grows dim, carrying a lantern lit with their care. They don't always have the right words, but their presence says more than language ever could. They remember the little things, not because they are trying to impress you, but because your happiness has become a part of their own. When storms come, they are the steady shore. When doubts whisper, they are the reassuring voice. Love, in Jung's sense, is not possession, nor is it a fleeting spark. It is the deep knowing that your soul has a companion in this vast, sometimes lonely world. Even in silence, their existence wraps around you like a soft blanket on a cold night. They see the parts of you that you hide, and instead of turning away, they hold them gently. They may not fix every broken piece, but they make sure you never have to carry the weight alone. In their eyes, you find home. In their hands, you find peace. And in their heart, you find the quiet promise: no matter where you are, you will never be alone. Dear everyone, before we continue the program, if you enjoy this topic, please comment number 1. If you'd like me to create more similar content, comment number 2. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any useful videos. Thank you, and wish you all meaningful moments. Have you ever found yourself surrounded by people and yet felt completely alone? That quiet ache, where laughter echoes around you, but somehow it doesn't reach your heart. It's a feeling many of us know too well, a reminder that presence isn't the same as connection. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, understood this deeply. He knew that the truest bonds in life are not built from proximity or convenience, but from the meeting of souls. He once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And in that transformation, something remarkable happens. Love becomes more than a fleeting emotion. It becomes a sanctuary, a place where you are fully seen, wholly accepted, and never left to wander the dark corridors of your mind alone. Because the one who truly loves you will not only celebrate your joys, they will step into your shadows without hesitation. They will sit with you in the silence, not to fill it, but to make sure it no longer feels heavy. This isn't the loud, performative love we often see in stories and songs. It's the quiet, steady kind, the love that says, without words, "No matter where you are, I am here." Today we will explore what it truly means to love and to be loved, in a way that dissolves loneliness at its core. Through the lens of Carl Jung's wisdom, we'll travel deep into the human heart and uncover how real connection can become an unshakable anchor in the vast ocean of life. So are you ready to journey inward? 1. The paradox of being surrounded yet alone. Have you ever been in a crowded room and felt invisible? It's a strange contradiction. People everywhere, conversations flowing, yet you feel like a ghost in your own life. This is the paradox of modern loneliness. It's not always about isolation from others. It's about disconnection from the self and from those who truly matter. Carl Jung believed that this kind of loneliness isn't simply a social problem. It's a psychological and spiritual one. In his view, each of us carries within a vast inner landscape, dreams, fears, longings, and truths that are rarely visible to the outside world. We can stand shoulder to shoulder with others, but if no one sees or understands that inner landscape, we remain profoundly alone. It's why some relationships leave us feeling emptier instead of fulfilled. They operate on the surface, small talk, shared routines, or even affection that never quite touches the core of who we are. Jung would say that these connections fail because they don't engage with the self, that central unifying force of our psyche that longs to be known and accepted. Loneliness, in this deeper sense, isn't the absence of company, it's the absence of resonance. Think of it like a song playing in your heart that no one else can hear. When you meet someone who does hear it, when their soul vibrates at the same frequency as yours, something extraordinary happens. It's as if the space between you dissolves. Jung called this the transformative power of genuine encounter. It is not just emotional, it is alchemical. You are not the same person after meeting someone who truly sees you. And perhaps more importantly, you are no longer alone in quite the same way. But here's the challenge. We often hide the very parts of ourselves that would allow someone to see us. We put on masks, play roles, and polish our words so they seem acceptable to the world. We think this protects us, but in reality, it deepens the loneliness. Because no one can love the real you if you never show the real you. This is why Jung emphasized shadow work, the process of recognizing and accepting the parts of ourselves we've pushed away. Only when we are at peace with our own depths can we invite someone else to meet us there. And only then can love become the kind that never leaves you feeling alone. In this sense, the journey toward finding a love that anchors you is inseparable from the journey of self-discovery. The more we know and accept ourselves, the more we naturally attract those who will walk beside us, not as strangers, but as fellow travelers who recognize our path. So, the first step to never feeling alone, even in love, is not about finding the one out there. It's about coming home to the one inside, the self that has been waiting for you to listen. Because when you meet another soul from that place of wholeness, the bond is not just companionship, it is transformation. 2. The presence that silences loneliness. When Jung spoke of transformative encounters, he wasn't talking about fleeting attraction or the excitement of novelty. He was speaking of something much deeper, a meeting of inner worlds so profound that it changes the way you carry yourself in life. And perhaps the most tangible sign of such a connection is this: you no longer feel alone, even in your solitude. We often think of love as constant activity, messages, calls, shared experiences, words of affirmation. But the truth is, a love that truly anchors you is often most powerful in its stillness. You can be sitting across from them in complete silence and yet feel an unshakable sense of belonging. It's as if the space between you hums with an unspoken understanding. I see you. I am with you. You are safe here. Jung believed this sense of safety was not accidental. It arises because your unconscious feels recognized. When someone resonates with your deeper self, they're not just reacting to your surface expressions. They're attuning to the unseen parts of you. The fears you've never voiced, the dreams you've barely dared to articulate, these are the places their presence reaches. Think of a time when you were struggling internally, but the person you loved didn't rush to fix you. Instead, they simply stayed, offering the quiet assurance that you didn't have to bear it alone. This is the kind of love Jung's work points toward. It's not about removing your storms, but about standing in them with you until the clouds begin to part. In this love, you don't feel the need to perform. There is no constant calculation about what you should say or how you should act. Instead, you can lay down the armor you've been carrying and just be. Your awkwardness, your flaws, your moments of doubt, these are not liabilities in their eyes. They're simply part of the tapestry that makes you, you. And because you no longer have to hide, the loneliness begins to dissolve. Loneliness thrives in the spaces where we feel unseen or misunderstood. When those spaces are illuminated by genuine understanding, they shrink. Jung might say that this is when the ego and the self are in greater harmony, when your inner truth aligns with the outer relationship. In such a bond, even physical distance loses its sting. You could be separated by miles, days, or even weeks, yet still carry the warmth of their presence within you. It's not about constant proximity. It's about a connection that exists on a level where time and space are secondary. Like an unbreakable thread, it weaves through your days, reminding you that you are held in someone's heart no matter where you are. This is why the one who truly loves you will never let you feel alone. Not because they're always physically by your side, but because they've built a bridge into your inner world. They have seen you, not just the version you present, and they've chosen to stay. That choice, made again and again, is what dissolves the deepest kind of loneliness. In Jung's terms, such love doesn't just comfort, it transforms. It invites both people into deeper self-awareness, creating a shared space where growth happens naturally. It's not perfect, it's not without challenges, but it's real. And real connection, once experienced, becomes a light you can always find your way back to. 3. Why this love feels so rare. If a love that silences loneliness is so deeply nourishing, Why do so few people seem to find it? Jung would tell us it's because we are rarely in full contact with our own inner world. Instead, much of what we think we know about love is shaped by unconscious forces, patterns, wounds, and desires that live beneath the surface of our awareness. One of Jung's most powerful insights into relationships was the idea of projection. When we first meet someone, we often don't see them clearly. We see an image formed from our own needs and fantasies. This is especially true in romantic attraction. We might project the qualities of our anima or animus, Jung's terms for the inner feminine in men and inner masculine in women, onto another person. They appear to be the embodiment of our missing half, our perfect counterpart. In the early stages, this projection can feel magical. We feel as if we've known them forever, as if fate itself brought us together. But over time, the image begins to crack, and the real person emerges, often quite different from the figure we'd imagined. This is where many relationships falter. When the projection fades, some people retreat, chasing the high of the fantasy instead of doing the deeper work of loving the reality. Jung believed that until we integrate our anima or animus, until we consciously recognize those inner qualities and claim them as part of ourselves, we will keep seeking them outside and keep feeling disappointed when no one can perfectly fulfill the dream. The irony is that the love we're chasing will never feel steady if it's built on projection. Why? Because we're not actually connecting with the other person. We're connecting with our own unconscious image of them. This explains why so many people can be surrounded by admirers, partners, or friends, and yet still feel deeply alone. Surface-level attraction, excitement, or compatibility can't reach the part of us that longs for genuine recognition. Only when we do the inner work, meeting and embracing our own hidden aspects, do we create the conditions for true love to emerge. Think of it this way. If you've never ventured into the hidden rooms of your own psyche, how can you expect someone else to walk there with you? If you've shut the door on your vulnerability, your creativity, your tenderness, or conversely, your assertiveness, your courage, your inner strength, then the person who tries to love you will only ever meet fragments. Jung saw love not as a place to hide from ourselves, but as a mirror that shows us who we really are. The partners who stir something deep inside us often awaken the very parts we've neglected. This awakening can feel destabilizing, even uncomfortable, but it's also the threshold of transformation. And here lies the key. The one who truly loves you will not run from this process. They will walk through it with you, even when it means facing your shadows together. They won't demand perfection, but they will call you into wholeness, not by force, but by the simple power of their steady presence. This is why such love is rare. It requires two people willing to see beyond illusions, to drop the masks, to stand in the truth of who they are. It's not about chasing an ideal. It's about building a real connection between two complete, self-aware human beings. That is not easy work, but it is the only work that makes love a refuge from loneliness rather than another mask for it. 4. Recognizing a love that ends loneliness. How do you know when you found it? Not just affection, not just companionship, but the rare and steady presence that reaches into your core and tells you, you are not alone anymore. The first sign is a profound sense of ease. In their presence, you don't feel the need to perform, impress, or constantly manage how you appear. It's as though the air between you has been cleared of the invisible pressure to be enough. Instead, you can simply be messy, quiet, exuberant, withdrawn, and still feel accepted. Jung would say that this ease comes when your unconscious senses safety, when it recognizes that your deeper self will not be judged or abandoned. The second sign is silence without fear. Most of us are used to filling space with words, fearing that quiet moments mean something is wrong. But in a love that truly anchors you, silence becomes a shared comfort. You can sit together with nothing to say, and instead of awkwardness, there's a gentle hum of connection, an unspoken "I'm here, and so are you." The third sign is presence in the storm. Life, inevitably, will bring seasons of difficulty, illness, loss, doubt, failure. Many relationships falter here, retreating into avoidance or blame. But the one who truly loves you will meet you in the chaos without trying to rush you through it. They will hold the space until you can stand again, and they'll do it without making you feel like a burden. The fourth sign is that distance doesn't erode the bond. Whether you're apart for days, weeks, or months, there's an unshakable thread between you. When you reconnect, it's as if no time has passed, not because nothing has changed, but because the connection lives beyond time and space. It's rooted in mutual understanding, not just constant interaction. The fifth sign is mutual transformation. You're not just coexisting, you're growing. Your presence in each other's lives sparks insights, courage, and healing that might never have emerged alone. This doesn't mean it's always easy. Growth can be uncomfortable, but it's always worth it because you can feel your lives expanding together. The sixth sign is shadow acceptance. We all have parts of ourselves we've hidden, the fears, flaws, and memories we'd rather keep buried. In a shallow relationship, revealing these parts feels dangerous. In a rare and true love, those shadows are met with understanding rather than recoil. This doesn't mean every behavior is excused, but that your whole humanity is acknowledged and held with compassion. Finally, the seventh sign is a deep-rooted calm. Even when things are uncertain, even when life is messy, there's a quiet assurance at the center of the relationship. You know, without needing constant proof that they are there. It's not a fragile trust that needs to be rebuilt daily. It's the kind that feels like an old tree with roots deep enough to withstand any weather. These signs are not romantic cliches. They are evidence of something far rarer, a meeting of two inner worlds, willing to see and be seen. Jung might say that this is when the relationship becomes an alchemical vessel, a space where both people are transformed through the fire of truth and the balm of presence. When you recognize these signs, you also recognize something else. This kind of love is not an accident. It's the result of self-awareness, courage, and a mutual commitment to see each other fully. And once found, it becomes not just a relationship, but a refuge, a home where loneliness has no room to grow. 5. Preparing yourself for love that never leaves you alone. It's tempting to believe that finding this kind of love is purely a matter of luck or timing, that one day you'll just meet the right person and everything will fall into place. But Jung's work reminds us of a more sobering truth. We can only meet another person as deeply as we have met ourselves. If we haven't explored our own depths, we will struggle to recognize someone who can truly see us. Worse, we might push them away, mistaking their depth for discomfort or their steadiness for boredom. The journey toward a love that ends loneliness begins with preparing ourselves to hold such a bond. The first step is shadow integration. The shadow is everything about ourselves we've hidden, qualities we deny, wounds we've ignored, truths we've been too afraid to face. These shadows influence our choices in love far more than we realize. They can make us cling to unhealthy relationships out of fear or reject healthy ones because they feel unfamiliar. To integrate the shadow is not to erase it, but to bring it into conscious awareness. It means admitting, yes, I have these flaws, these fears, these patterns, and I am willing to own them. When we accept our own complexity, we stop demanding perfection from ourselves or others, and this opens the door to relationships built on truth rather than performance. The second step is individuation, Jung's term for becoming the truest version of yourself. This isn't about becoming self-sufficient to the point of isolation, but about knowing your values, your boundaries, your dreams, and your purpose. When you live from this place of inner alignment, you naturally attract people who resonate with your essence rather than those who simply match your surface-level desires. The third step is emotional literacy. Many of us have never been taught how to name and express our feelings in a way that fosters connection. Without this skill, we either shut down or explode under emotional pressure, both of which create distance instead of closeness. Practicing emotional honesty, even in small doses, is like building a bridge toward the love you seek. The fourth step is learning to be alone without feeling lonely. This may sound paradoxical, but it's essential. If you depend on another person to fill every moment of emptiness, you risk turning love into a desperate grasp rather than a steady exchange. When you can enjoy your own company, you bring a sense of wholeness into the relationship, allowing love to be a choice, not a lifeline. Finally, the fifth step is recognizing your own projections. We all enter relationships with images in our minds, ideas about what a partner should be, shaped by our upbringing, media, and past experiences. The more aware we are of these projections, the less we unconsciously force someone into a role they were never meant to play. This creates space for the real person to emerge and for a real connection to grow. Doing this inner work isn't easy. It can be uncomfortable, even painful, to face the truths we've avoided, but it's also profoundly liberating. Each step we take towards self-awareness makes us more capable of both giving and receiving the kind of love that never lets us feel alone. Jung believed that love at its highest form is not about losing ourselves in another. It's about two whole beings meeting, and in that meeting, becoming more than they were alone. When we've done the work to know and accept ourselves, we stop searching for someone to complete us. Instead, we seek someone to walk beside us. And in that shared journey, loneliness quietly fades to something far more beautiful: belonging. 6. Nurturing and protecting love that never leaves you alone. Finding a love that truly anchors you is rare, but keeping it alive is an art in itself. Jung would remind us that even the deepest connection can fade if we stop tending to it. Love, like a garden, must be nourished, pruned, and protected from neglect, not because it is fragile, but because it is alive. The first principle in nurturing such a bond is mutual individuation. Individuation, in Jung's work, is the process of becoming the fullest version of yourself. And in a healthy relationship, this process happens for both partners, not just one. If love becomes a place where one person grows and the other stagnates, imbalance creeps in. A lasting connection requires both people to keep expanding their inner worlds, even as they walk side by side. This is why it's essential to hold space for each other's growth. Growth often brings change, new interests, new insights, even new wounds to heal. Instead of fearing these shifts, the one who loves you will see them as part of the ongoing journey you share. They will encourage your evolution, even if it means adjusting the patterns you've grown used to. The second principle is conscious communication. Many relationships fracture not because of major betrayals, but because of the slow erosion caused by unspoken resentment or unmet needs. Speaking your truth kindly, clearly, and without blame is one of the most loving acts you can offer. Likewise, listening with the intent to understand, not just to reply, keeps the bridge between you strong. The third principle is embracing conflict as a path to deeper intimacy. Jung saw tension as an inevitable and even necessary part of transformation. When two psyches meet, differences will arise. The question is not whether you will disagree, but how you will handle it. Instead of seeing conflict as a threat, approach it as an opportunity to understand each other more fully. Handled with care, these moments can strip away illusions and bring you closer than before. The fourth principle is ritualizing presence. Life will always pull you in 1,000 directions: work, responsibilities, distractions. But love that lasts is love that is prioritized. Whether it's a shared morning coffee, an evening walk, or a weekly check-in, these small rituals anchor you to each other's lives. They remind both of you that no matter how chaotic the world gets, there is a steady heartbeat between you. The fifth principle is protecting the bond from outside noise. In a world of constant comparison and overstimulation, it's easy to let external voices, friends, family, social media, distort how you see your relationship. True love is strengthened by healthy boundaries where the opinions of others are considered, but never allowed to override the lived truth between you. Finally, the sixth principle is keeping curiosity alive. Even after years together, there are still unexplored corners in the person you love. Ask questions. Learn their evolving dreams. Notice the subtle changes in how they think, speak, or move through the world. When you keep seeing them with fresh eyes, you keep falling in love with them again and again. Jung might say that in such a relationship, the self of each person feels seen and supported. The connection becomes an alchemical container, a sacred space where both individuals can be transformed by the relationship without losing their own essence. Protecting this kind of love isn't about holding on too tightly, it's about holding it consciously. It's knowing that the greatest gift you can give each other is not perfection, but presence. And when presence is maintained, loneliness has no foothold. Because no matter what changes, no matter what storms come, you both know you are not alone. Not now, not ever. 7. The transformative ripple of a love that anchors you. Jung believed that true relationships are not static, they are catalysts. When you encounter a love that reaches into the deepest parts of you and says, "You are safe here," it doesn't just heal loneliness, it reshapes the way you live in the world. The first transformation is how you relate to yourself. In the presence of someone who accepts you fully, you begin to accept yourself more deeply. The inner critic that once spoke so loudly starts to quiet down, replaced by the internalized echo of their steady reassurance. Your flaws no longer feel like disqualifications from love. They become simply part of the human texture you share with everyone else. The second transformation is how you see others. When you've experienced unconditional presence, it's harder to judge others harshly. You recognize that everyone carries hidden battles, and this awareness breeds compassion. Jung would call this the widening of consciousness, where the empathy born in intimate love begins to radiate outward into the rest of your life. The third transformation is your relationship with solitude. Once upon a time, being alone may have felt like abandonment or emptiness, but after experiencing a love that anchors you, solitude becomes less threatening. Even when physically alone, you carry a felt sense of connection, a reminder that love exists in your life, steady and enduring, whether or not it is immediately visible. The fourth transformation is your courage to grow. When loneliness is no longer a constant fear, you're more willing to take risks, personally, professionally, and spiritually. You know that if you stumble, there will be someone to help you stand. This safety net frees you from the paralysis of self-doubt, allowing you to step into challenges with a braver heart. The fifth transformation is your resilience in hardship. Pain doesn't disappear. Loss, failure, and grief still arrive, as they do for all of us. But the difference is that you no longer walk through them alone. Even in the darkest seasons, you feel the quiet presence of someone who believes in you, who will sit with you until the dawn returns. Jung might say that such a bond becomes an archetypal ally, a living embodiment of support in your hero's journey. The sixth transformation is how you love in return. Being on the receiving end of deep, unwavering presence teaches you how to offer it. You begin to notice when others need to be heard, when silence is more healing than words, when to hold on and when to let go. This is how love multiplies, not by being hoarded, but by being given freely, informed by the care you've received. And perhaps the most profound transformation is the dissolving of existential isolation. Jung often spoke about individuation as a solitary process, yet he also knew that certain connections act as bridges between souls. When you share your inner life with someone who welcomes it fully, you realize you are part of something much larger, a shared human story, a collective psyche, a great web of interconnection. This is the ripple effect of a love that never lets you feel alone. It doesn't just change how you love, it changes who you are. It frees you from the quiet despair of disconnection and replaces it with a living, breathing sense of belonging. And in a world where so many are starving for that feeling, your very existence becomes a beacon. Jung might say that such love is not an escape from the work of self-discovery, but a partner in it. It helps you face your shadows without shame, embrace your light without arrogance, and move through the world with both humility and confidence. And the beauty is, once you've experienced it, you cannot help but bring that same presence into every corner of your life, touching friends, family, strangers, and even the way you dream about the future. 8. Coming home to the love that sees you. If you take one thing from this journey, let it be this. Love that never lets you feel alone is not about constant company, endless romance, or someone filling every silence with words. It is about being seen so deeply and so completely that even in your solitary moments, you can feel that connection holding you. Jung taught us that the meeting of two souls is a transformative act, an alchemy that reshapes both people. But he also reminded us that this meeting is not given to everyone by chance. It is invited through the slow, patient work of self-discovery. When we integrate our Shannon to stand whole in our own being, we create a space where love can truly take root. Perhaps this is why such love feels rare. It asks for more than attraction, more than compatibility. It asks for truth, and truth requires courage. The courage to show your unpolished self, to listen without defense, to stay when the storms come. If you have found this love, Protect it. Tend to it like the living thing it is, not with fear of losing it, but with gratitude for the miracle of its existence. Recognize that in a world full of fleeting attention and shallow connection, you have found something extraordinary. If you are still searching, do not despair. Begin where you are. Learn to sit with yourself without judgment. Learn the language of your own soul so that when someone speaks it, you will recognize it instantly. And in the meantime, live as though the love you seek is already here, because in some ways it is. The capacity for deep connection begins with you. And when that day comes, when you meet the one who steps into your inner world and says, "I'm not leaving," you will understand why Jung compared the meeting of two personalities to the meeting of two chemical substances. Something in you will shift. Something in you will settle. And from that moment forward, loneliness will no longer feel like an inevitable companion, but like a distant memory from another lifetime. So tonight, as you step back into your own life, ask yourself, what kind of presence am I inviting into my world? Am I willing to be that presence for someone else? Because the truth is, the one who truly loves you will never let you feel alone. And that love might just be closer than you think. This is Galactic Wisdom. Thank you for journeying with us. Until next time, may you be seen, may you be known, and may you never walk alone. And now, as we close this journey together, perhaps you've begun to see what Carl Jung truly meant. That love is not merely an emotion we feel, but a quiet presence that shapes the very space around us. It's not in the fireworks of grand gestures, but in the unshakable knowing that no matter where you stand in the storm, someone will always be there, holding the rope on the other side. In the vastness of life, with its chaos, its noise, its loneliness, the one who truly loves you becomes your anchor, your shelter, and your light. The truth is, not everyone who enters your life will stay, and not everyone who stays will bring peace. But the ones who do, the ones who see you, accept you, and choose to walk beside you, will never let you feel alone. If you haven't met them yet, start by becoming that presence for yourself, because in Jung's view, we inevitably attract what we carry within. Thank you for joining Galactic Wisdom on this exploration of the heart and mind. If this message resonated with you, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Your support helps us continue creating journeys into the depths of human nature, cosmic truth, and timeless wisdom. Until we meet again, may you carry light in your heart, and may you never have to walk this universe alone.